Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about romances with plus-size heroes. Hello, how are you? Welcome back, and welcome back to Trope Week. If you don't know what Trope Week is, it is a series that I've been doing quite frequently on my channel, where every single day for an entire week, I pick one specific romance book trope, and I give you a bunch of recommendations. So that is what we're continuing to do today. I will have the whole playlist of all of my other Trope Weeks and this week's Trope Week listed down below. I think at this point, there's like 40 plus videos of all different types of tropes. We have poly romances, friends to lovers romances, second chance romances, monster romances, the list goes on and on. So if there's a trope you don't see in this week, it could be because I've already done it. So I will leave it down below. But today I'm going to be talking about romances with plus size heroes. I know you all heard that song on SNL. I know you did. I know you did. We all wish that it was an actual song that is cuffing season and all the girls we need a big boy. I want a big boy. Come on, vocals. Come on, vocals. I had that clip on repeat. Okay, that song was stuck in my head, engraved in my noggin. I have quite a few recommendations because this is clearly one of my favorite tropes ever. I will be doing like a part 2 where I do plus size heroines. I just had so many books in this one video. All right, first up is Casey Mint. Okay, Casey Mint really came through with this trope. What she does is she'll take like a theme. So what she does is she'll take a theme and then she will write a bunch of novellas all within that theme. There's a bundle of small town romance novellas, a bundle of mafia romance novellas, one that's set during the winter time, one that's set during the summertime, and then she has a series called the Big Boy series, okay? And it is 8 novellas of plus size heroes, and it is quite possibly some of the best novellas I've ever read, okay? Since there's 8 books in the series, I'm going to talk about my top 3, but like I said, I would recommend this whole series. First up is probably my favorite novella by her, and that is Big Bet. This is a friends to lovers romance between a blackjack dealer and a burlesque dancer. Work together, they're best friends, they spend lunches together, they walk each other home, and it's just like this really cute friendship, but they have both been secretly pining after one another, and they don't want to ruin the friendship, but in this novella, they decide that they're going to just like test their chemistry, and it follows their romance. This one is actually so freaking sweet. I love a good friends to lovers romance, and this is a great one. Next one is Big Baker, and this is kind of like an office romance a little bit. So our hero is like this world-renowned pastry chef. Famous, he's making shmoney, and he's working for this very prestigious hotel, and he has a little crush on one of the housemaids there. Every day he makes something special and leaves her something in her locker, like different treats for her to try, and it follows their romance. Last one I want to talk about is Big Bratva, which is a mafia romance. Now, if you're not a fan of mafia romance or you're a beginner to mafia romances, I actually think this is a really good novella to try because it really is character driven and not plot driven, so it doesn't get like too heavy into mafia politics and just follows our characters. So our hero is an enforcer in the mafia, but he doesn't really want to be involved in that lifestyle. He's kind of gotten dragged into it by his brother. One day his brother ends up showing at his apartment with this girl who has like a burlap sack over her head, and it turns out that she was kidnapped and she's actually a really famous politician's daughter, and they're trying to use her for ransom. He's tasked with keeping her in the house and making sure she doesn't escape to ensure that the mafia can use her for leverage. He is like horrified by the task that he's given, and it follows the romance. He basically tries to help her get out of that situation. And Big Boxer was also super good. Like all of the books, literally every single one. Novella author that has truly delivered when it comes to plus size heroes is Miss Jessa Kane. Yes, Miss Jessa Kane. The group of novellas that I'm going to talk about, I think, is like peak Jessa Kane. Like, it does not get better than this right here. This is the best work she's ever come out with. Similar to Casey Mint, she had a whole series of plus size heroes, and she actually bundled it in an anthology. So since all of her novellas are on Kindle Limited, you can't purchase them physically, but recently she came out with her novellas like bundled in themes in an anthology. This one has a handful of her plus size hero romances in actual paperback, and it's an anthology. You can also read them as standalones. They have the same theme, but plot-wise they don't connect. First one is quite possibly one of my favorite Jessa Kane novellas, and that is Hefty. This is a young adult friends to lovers romance, very similar to Big Bet. I feel like Big Bet is like this couple as adults. So our characters are in high school, our heroine is a cheerleader, and our hero is a football player. They have always had a crush on each other, but our heroine is best friends with the hero's sister, so it's kind of forbidden, like a best friend's older brother romance. They've been secretly pining for each other, so they decide that they want to be each other's first everything, and they decide to explore the chemistry with one another. This one is amazing. I love it. Another one I really like is called Husky. This one is an age gap zaddy kink. So our heroine is a fashion designer. She won like this very popular fashion competition, and she's creating like her very first professional line, and she has like no inspiration whatsoever. So she ends up going to a bar and meets the owner of the bar, and the second that she sees him, there's this instant chemistry, but she's also very inspired to create a plus size male clothing line because of him. So she ends up using his measurements and him as a model for her very first clothing line. Follows the romance, and it is really good. And then the next one I love is King Size by Jessa Kane. I love this one because this is a dominant heroine and a submissive hero. Our heroine is queen of her kingdom, and this is like one of Jessa Kane's like only historical settings. Anyways, moving on. Parents died, and she ends up becoming queen at a very, very young age. She doesn't know who to trust. Completely trusts her guard, one of the knights that works for the castle, and he is the only one that she trusts, and he ends up becoming her personal bodyguard, and it follows the romance. Like I said, dominant heroine, submissive man, really good. So those are the ones by Casey Mint and Jessa Kane. Let me talk about some other authors. So I really do love Daddy Crush by Adriana Anders. This is another age gap zaddy romance. So it follows our heroine, who is pretty inexperienced. She comes from a very, I want to say like almost cult-like background, where she was sheltered in a lot of ways. She's living on her own, distancing herself from her family, and she decides that she just wants to explore everything, but she doesn't feel confident or comfortable with a lot of people except her neighbor, who is a little older than her and a plus size hero, and he ends up like showing her the ropes, quite literally, in the bedroom. Anyways, I really do love this one. I just say that I think for this trope, monster romances, paranormal romances fit perfectly, okay? Perfectly.
Say that it's cold. Ay, te ves tan bonita. Your makeup looks so good. Wow.
Thank you. I'm filming. The first one I want to recommend is another anthology, and it is called Big Feels. This is a monster romance anthology available on Kindle Unlimited, and it is literally the premise of the whole anthology is monster romances with like size differences, like a monster paranormal creature with a human, big beefy orc with a human, dragon shifters, like literally everything. So you need to read this one. The next one is Morning Glory Milking Farm by Sierra Costa, which is a fan favorite. When this one came out, the girlies were shook. They were shook because this is a Minotaur romance, and the premise is wild. So our heroine is a human, and she lives in like a multi-species town. There's monsters, there's humans, there's different types of creatures. She needs some money. She's a broke college student, okay? She needs to pay her rent. So she ends up working at this milking farm, which is basically... How do I describe this? Okay, so in this world, Minotaur's semen is really potent. So this milking farm like takes that out of them to create like enhancing drugs for men who lack performance. I can't even say that so seriously. So our heroine is a tech at this Morning Glory milking farm and ends up meeting our hero there. And it follows the romance. The premise sounds bonkers because it is, and it does sound steamy because it is. It's actually kind of slow burn and very, very sweet, which I love. Oh, who fits this trope perfectly? The Ice Planet Barbarians series by Miss Ruby Dixon. Yes, ma'am. These alien men are like 7 foot tall, okay? And they are mating with these human women who are not 7 feet tall. Okay, so this is like the definition of like a plus size hero, okay? Pick any book in this series. Like I said, they're all like 7 foot ginormous big zaddies, okay? Big zaddies. Avery from Ava's Romance Books. This is like her niche. She loves Miss Ruby Dixon, loves alien romances. So give her a follow because she'll have so many recommendations if you want to read any of these books. Rebecca Weatherspoon has a couple of books with this trope. Hi, Coco. Come here, my baby boy. Come here. Look at him. He just recently got a haircut and he looks so handsome. You are my big boy. My big boy. It's cool things easy. Oh, the boy's baby. And this is my other dog. She's a brat. And they cut her hair too short. She looks like a rat. But I love you. Getting all the interruptions today. I was talking about Rebecca Weatherspoon. Rebecca Weatherspoon. She has a couple of plus size romances. I know for sure Rafe is a plus size hero. He is the nanny to a single mom and it follows the romance. But the one I want to talk about is Zenny because that's the second book in the series and it's my favorite. I'm out of breath. This one is a marriage of convenience, but like a modern day marriage of convenience. So our heroine's aunt, who was very famous, passed away and she had a lot of money on her. And she's pretty much leaving everything to our heroine, Zenny. However, for her to get her inheritance, she has to get married to a man that her aunt chose. And the man that her aunt chose was a friend of her aunt's, but also like has his own reasons for needing money. And they end up deciding to just go for it. They end up going with this marriage of convenience so they can both get the inheritance, but it follows their romance. And this features 2 bisexual characters, which I also love. I might do a whole trope video on that, bisexual characters. Got me thinking. Anyways, moving on. I love this book so much. And the last one is by one of my other favorite authors, and that is Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. This is a part of her Brutal Birthright series. You don't have to kind of read the series in order. You do. This is like the 4th book in the series, and it's just so much more enjoyable if you read them in order. However, I mean, I guess you can kind of read this one a little out of order. This is an angsty second chance romance, okay? Our hero is a part of the Italian mafia in downtown Chicago, and he ends up like hijacking a car at an event to like get away. Okay, he needs to get a quick getaway. And in the process of him getting this car, he didn't realize that there was someone in the back seat, and it is our heroine, Simone, who he accidentally kidnaps. When they meet each other, they're pretty young and they have like this very sweeping romance. They kind of come from completely different worlds. He is from the literal mafia and she is the daughter of a famous, prestigious politician. And yeah, completely different worlds. Neither of the families really approve of their relationship and something kind of like tears them apart until years later they reconnect and it follows their second chance romance and it is lovely. I actually have a bunch of tattoos featuring all of these books and I do have one for this one. That's that one. That's why I have this little Beccanita heart on my hand. It's for Bloody Heart by Sophie Lark. It's editing Sam here. It would not be a recommendation video if I did not forget a couple of books. So here we are. I'm going to talk about 2 really quick. These are 2 historical romances if you're looking for plus-size heroes. This one is The Lady's Champion. This is a novella on Kindle Unlimited, and it is a Highland historic romance with a plus-size hero. The other one is by Nicola Davidson. This one is a poly romance between the King's Guard, the King's ex-mistress, and then the King's ward. It also has a dominant heroine and a submissive hero, and I really enjoyed this one. I know I didn't go too deep into the plots because I'm tired and I want to edit this video, but I thought I would just throw those in really quick because they are 2 amazing historical romances with this trope. Alright, that is all of my recommendations of romances with plus size heroes. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there are any recommendations that you guys have, please leave them in the comments down below so I can read them. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy and I will see you in my next video. Bye!